proud of ourselves. Very impressive. Great. Okay, welcome to the National Academic League Finals. Third and out. Question 1. The story A Horseman in the Sky is set during this conflict, which is also the setting of a story in which Peyton Farquhar escapes the gallows. Ambrose Bierce wrote An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, which is set during this conflict, as is a short novel about Henry Fleming, who receives the title Wound in the Red Badge of Honor. That's correct. And that is 5 points. 4.
The name. Zon.
5, I'm sorry.
Zon.
5 points to Zon. All right. Question 2. The aria Batter My Heart, Three-Personed God appears in one of these productions depicting J. Oppenheimer, Dr. Atomic. The Red Detachment of Women is performed in one of these compositions, which depicts a visit by President Nixon to China. John Coolidge Adams is a composer of 40 points. What type of musical theater which often features deep-voiced singers? That's correct. That is +3 to Sienna. Okay, question 3. This novel's 42nd chapter, Vanished into the Clouds, is blank, implying that the title character has died. This novel's final chapters follow Yu and Koru after the death of the title character. Written by the noblewoman Murasaki Shikibu. For the points, what classic Japanese work widely considered the first novel?
Is it Genji?
It's The Tale of Genji, yes. Great, so that was that. All right, question 4. As part of a plot to overthrow his brother, this man fathered children with his niece Tyro. This man instructed his wife to disrespect his body after he died, so he could convince Persephone to let him return to life. That's correct. This is Sisyphus, so that is +6 to Nathan. Question 5. This position was established after the overthrow of Lucius Tarquinius Superbus. Holders of this position were said to alternate holding the fasces every month, and one of the first 2 holders of this position was Lucius Junius Brutus. For the points, name this position held by 2 men who were the highest. That's correct, and that is +4 to Meenakshi. And are you guys okay if we start score checks at 10 and then do every 5 after that? Okay, great. Question 6. A law to make this man leader for life was called the law of succession to the headship of the state. This leader ordered the creation of a Pedro Muguruza monument called the Valley of the Fallen. In the unification decree, this man merged the Carlists and the Phalangists. For the points, name this Spanish military dictator who governed from 1939 to 19... That's correct. +4 to Ethan. 7. This body, whose atmosphere was discovered by D.T. Hall, contains terrain called the Connemara Chaos. This body has the smoothest surface of observed solid bodies in the solar system, and it was discovered alongside Io, Ganymede, and Callisto. For the points, name this smallest of the Galilean moons. That's correct. +4 to Sam. Question 8. One author from this continent depicted a character nicknamed the Blasphemer in No Longer Ends. That author from this continent told the story of a respected Igbo leader who struggles with his fear of becoming like his weak and unsuccessful father in the village of Mwofia. For the points, name this continent where authors like Chinua Achebe, the author of... It's incorrect. It's -2 for Sienna. Of Things Fall Apart, explore the consequences of colonialism. -1%. This is Africa. Question 9. This event debated a document stating, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. This event featured the attendance of Frederick Douglass and was organized by Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Kate Stanton. The Declaration of Sentiments was presented at, for the points, 1. That's correct. Plus 4, 2 0. Okay. Question 10. This field of study uses priming the pump to illustrate one thinker's idea of deficit spending to ease recessions. This field of study's greatest thinkers have included Milton Friedman and John Maynard Keynes, who wrote the General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money. For the points, name this field of study.
Economics.
That's correct. Let's forward to Meenakshi. We're just going to do a score check here at 10.
Okay, so at 10, we've got Meenakshi with 8, Nathan with 10, Zan with 12, and Sienna with 1.
Right. Yes. Perfect.
That's what I heard.
Right. Question 11. In 1921, this leader declared himself great president as head of the Second Constitutional Protection Movement. The assassination of a prime minister-elect led this man to eventually ally with communists in the First United Front. This man, who founded the Whampoa Military Academy, did not live to see the Northern Expedition. For the points, name this Chinese revolutionary, the founder of the Kuomintang. Correct. One, 2 7.
Sonia.
That's correct. Plus 3, 2, 8. 2, 8. Plus 8. Right. Question 12. A model named for these particles was independently proposed by George Slide. These particles are limited to certain types of particles via the strong interaction, and these particles have a property called the color charge, described by flavors like up, down, dark. That's correct. Plus 14. Sandy.
It's a cup for the Sienna, right?
Yes. 4 plus 4 is Sienna, but the ultimate question is 30. Is there 50? Okay, so there's a little number problem. I think I have a chance to have any questions for the missing question.
Can I go first? Yeah. Stop.
But Sienna should have 5 points. No, so I had Sienna getting 3, and then 2, so 1, and then -1, so 0, and then plus 3. 4.
That's right. I'm going to do that.
Oh, it's missing off.
Okay. 13. This is me. This archipelago's dual capitals are Rodetown and Charlotte Amalie. This
Regency.
That's correct. That is plus 6 to me. Question 14. This character is the illegitimate son of Bartolo and Marcellina, who have a double wedding with him and Susanna. In another opera, this character reveals to Rosina that a poor student is actually Count Almaviva. For the points, name this Spanish barber who gets married in an opera by Mozart, where his name is repeated multiple times in one song. This is Figaro. Smago's dead. In 2024, this country was ranked as having the world's highest GDP per capita. This country, which contains the village of Schengen, is led by Grand Duke Henry, and it is the smallest country in Europe which is not classified as a micro state. For the points, name this smallest of the Low Countries, sandwiched between Germany, France, and Belgium. That's correct. Plus 3 to name it.
Score jacket question. Team gave me Machi with 8, Sienna with 4, Nathan with 22, and Zane with 12. So I have this.
16. The largest river in this region is the Rio Negro, which represented the southern limit of Spanish settlement. This region, which includes the Welsh-settled Chuba River Valley, has forested fjords on its west. Is plus 5 to even. 17. Mr. Starnes is a dean in this novel who receives the nickname the Eagle. This novel was inspired by its author's experiences at Indian Springs School. Pudge is the narrator of this novel, whose title character dies during a drunk driving accident. For the points, name this 2005 young adult novel by John Green that concerns a woman named for a U.S. state. So this is Looking for Alaska. Question 18. A valid combinatorial form of these things is called double counting, in which two different methods are used to count the size of a set. Examples of these things can be created by construction or assuming the opposite and showing the occurrence of absurdity through contradiction. It's -2 to me. For the points, name these logical mathematical arguments used to demonstrate. Second incorrect, -2 to scan. To demonstrate the truth of a fact. +3 to use less. 19. This person may have attempted one effort because of an eruption of Mount St. Helens that dulled the sun. This person was only discovered when farmer Benjamin Phipps noticed some collected brushwood. This person was executed in Southampton County, and Thomas Gray published this person's confessions. For the points, identify this leader of an 1830 word correct +4 to even. 20. Another score check. This artist created a bronze relief sculpture called the Feast of Herod. A statue of Marcus Aurelius inspired this artist to depict a horse balancing its foot on a cannonball. This artist of Guatemala created a bronze nude sculpture in which a boy carries the fallen sword of an enemy, whose severed head rests below his foot. For the points, name this Italian sculptor of a bronze statue. Incorrect, -1 to split. -1 to Nachi. This is Donatello. Sorry.
Okay. In the 20 questions, we have Ockley with 7, Sam with 1, Nathan with 29, and Zane with. That's what I said.
Right, 10 more to go. All right, 21. This procedure, which is done before Mohs surgery, comes in excisional and needle aspiration types. This procedure is performed to remove skin lesions or as part of an intraoperative consultation via cryosection for fast microscopic analysis. For the points, identify this procedure that diagnoses conditions by removing a sample of tissue or cells.
Biopsy.
+3 to Himachi. 22. This novel's protagonist encounters a series of heads-on spikes before finding a sick man carried on a stretcher. In this novel, a steamboat is attacked by a group of natives near the inner station. The final words, the horror, are spoken by Kurtz to Charles Marlowe in, for the points, what novel by Joseph Conrad? This is Part of Darkness. 2030. Submarine volcano eruptions can form rafts of this type of rock, such as a 10,000 square mile example that formed 2012 eruption in the Kermadec Islands. This type of rock differs from darker colored scoria rock and can float on water. For the points, name this vesicular volcanic rock that has a porous texture when correct. Points 2 to 7.
Penis.
That's correct. Plus 4 to Nachi. 24. This film was the highest grossing film in US history prior to the release of Gone with the Wind. In response to critics, the director of this film produced the film Intolerance. This film was the first motion picture to be shown inside the White House, as it was viewed by Woodrow Wilson. That's correct. Plus 4 to 7. 25. This quantity can be calculated as the square of momentum divided by twice the mass of the object. This quantity has a value that is equal to 1/2 times mass times velocity squared. For the points, name this quantity that is defined as energy due to motion, unlike it's incorrect. Minus 2 for Santa.
No, for Sarah.
No.
Unlike potential energy.
Okay, energy.
That's correct. Plus 3 to 1 Nachi.
Energy.
Studying several controls.
Okay.
You can tell me.
Yeah. At the end of 25, Frank Rubio Meenakshi was 17, Zane was 19, Sienna was -3, and Nathan was 29. Right.
Right. 5 questions left. Right, 26. This city hosts Plaza San Lorenzo Ruiz and lies on the heavily polluted Pasig River. The city is served by Ninoy Aquino International Airport, and Quezon City adjoins the city. That's correct. That is plus 5 to needed. 27. The design of this device incorporated an adjustable collar based on a similar device developed earlier by Michael Faraday. This device uses the Venturi effect to mix gas with air, and a blue cone appears when this device's air holes are fully open. For the points, identify this common laboratory device that produces a hot, clean flame. That's correct. It's 4 for Sammy. What's it use? You can go smart check out.
Do they get a 40 because it's the finals?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just said there's 10 left.
Right, 28. Characters based on this artist include George de Maurier's Joe Sibley and Oscar Wilde's Basil Hallward. This artist sued critic John Ruskin in 1877 for panning his work Fallen Rocket, whose full title contains a musical term. For the points, name this artist whose best known arrangement depicts his mother. This is James Whistler.
So, at question 28, we have Nathan at 34, Zane at 19, Meenakshi at 17, Sienna at 1.
Right, the questions left. 29. With the diplomatic revolution, this king established an alliance with Britain to fight Austria in the 7 Years' War. During the War of the Austrian Succession, this rival of Maria Theresa seized Silesia, though he and Catherine the Great later promoted the first partition of Poland. For the points, name this enlightened king of Prussia from 1740 to 1786.
Frederick Barbarossa.
That is incorrect. -1. Where's that?
4, 7.
This is Frederick the Great. Very close. 30. This element takes its name from salts traditionally derived from soaking wood ash. This element can be dated by observing how many of this was incorrect. -2%.
Half.
That's correct. +6 to Mochi. So a final score check.
So, at the end of the match, we had Nathan, 34. Hinakshi, 23. Dane with 18. Dana with -1.
Yeah, no matter what your score is, you should all be very proud of yourselves to make it here. You're the top 4, which is crazy out of all of their numbers. I don't even know this information. I'm 24, so
I'm 59.
yeah. Me? How many awards?
Give me points.
Points? I thought I'm
Sharon, mine, basic grades, and I style. That's nice. Well, which is, yeah.